The theme of this year's Toronto Summer Music Festival is Paris of La Belle Époque. And it's a really fascinating point in time when you have all the artists from various domains. You have poets, writers, visual artists, sculptors, musicians, choreographers, dancers, all coming together in Paris and meeting each other in the cafes and the bars of Montmartre and in the brasserie of Saint-Germain-des-Prés, and also in the salons. The salon culture in Paris was a phenomenon like no other. And these artists then would get together, they'd discuss the philosophy, why they produce art, for whom, and for what purpose does it serve. And these challenging questions from various disciplines all getting together and talking about it produce this cultural phenomena that's been unrivaled since. And we saw Impressionism, then Realism, and Fauvism, Cubism, and Surrealism. You see all this succession of artistic movements, a dizzying succession of artistic movements that resulted from this experience, these artists from all different genres who are getting together, discussing why they produce their art. And it's an interesting phenomenon also because in our first year of Toronto Summer Music, when I was director, my first year, we really talked about the beginnings of Romanticism. And Romanticism is in the heart of chamber music and art song, which are sort of the two art forms that are at the core of our activities. And so we really looked at Beethoven and the early Romantic spirit. And then last year, our second year, we went in more into how Romanticism spread then from Germany into other countries, Bohemia, out to Russia as well, looking at national styles of music. But we touched very briefly upon France last year. If you wanted to go to a concert in Paris in the first half of the 19th century, you would listen to German music. You'd be listening to Haydn, Mozart, Beethoven, Schumann, Schubert. There really was no French Romantic music to speak of. And beginning in 1850, this sort of French nationalism, or the sense of French nationalism in music was born. Saint-Saëns, and especially was at the head of it, in Franck, and then their disciples Fauré, and their disciples Debussy and Ravel. And there was an enormous explosion of music, French music, based on a sort of French character and style, and was really developed in the La Belle Époque. And this was happening in music, but it was also happening in science, it was happening in education, and Paris became the go-to place really in the world for all kinds of artistic movements. And in the expositions of 1899 and 1900, that sort of consecrated Paris as the center of the world culturally. And this is what this year's festival is about. We're looking at the music that came out of this wonderfully, immensely productive, creative hotbed that was Paris of La Belle Époque.